How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are going to be installing paint protection film on the hood of this Acura RDX. Let's take a look. We're going to be bulking this in one piece. We are using a new material to us to test it out. So we'll see how that goes today with our regular slip solution. There might be a little sticky or a little, we don't know exactly where it's going to come up on that because we didn't make any adjustments to that part. So one thing that I did do differently on this one here that we don't normally do is I applied some wax to this ridge here as well as this one here. And the reason that I did that is I want to see if this film does end up a little bit tacky. I heard that these ridges, because they're going to be tacking first because they're going to have the most tension on them after we do the 4-corner tack, I hear that that will really help with that. And so I want to go ahead and test that today. So just a little bit of light wax here. I bought this from a local place. Great, well, let's get started on this. So it's important that you go ahead and wipe all the edges down with the rubbing alcohol, especially the ones that you're going to be wrapping, especially underneath the hood, because you can't see what's going on underneath there. And that's an area that doesn't get washed regularly, so that there will be some contamination or some buildup of greases and things under there. So you want to get that off so that when you do go to wrap your edges, that they stick real well and don't pop up over time. All right. Also, I did put this, this is like a hose sprayer end. I put that in there to hold the hood up a little bit. And what that does is that gets these corners here up so that they're sitting proud of the fender. And that's going to help with the install. I'll explain that as we get a little bit closer to, or get into that. Okay, so let's get this up. Some of this is tacking already, but it could be just tacking to something that didn't have enough slip on it. All right, that's definitely starting to grab a little, so this is definitely going to need more soap in it. Yeah, I mean, it's really grabbing like down in here. So let me go ahead and grab a different soap and we'll add some of this to it. Okay. Okay, that's looking better. Yep. All right, so this keg here is mixed 30 milliliters of soap per gallon. It's our soap solution that we use for installing window tint. It's got a lot more soap in it than the paint protection film one does. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this 4-corner tacked now. I'm gonna go ahead and lift this back, put some tack solution in there, and we'll go ahead and squeegee this down. Okay, so we'll get both back corners down first. Okay, make sure nothing's pre-tacking. Okay, we'll come over here, do the same thing. Running out of tack solution, that's smart. Okay, now what we want to do is put a little bit of stretch from left to right. Squeegee this out. It's best if you have the very corner sticking down to help that, give that the best possibility of staying stuck down. And then let's go ahead now and stretch down to the front of these. Okay, so what we're going to be trying to do now is stretch out all these fingers, especially up this side and the front. You know, we are still have to stretch that way, so we don't have to stretch them all out, but you want to get basically half of them out. It's kind of a guess, educated guess. Okay, so we'll go ahead, make sure there's no fingers here and that we have minimal to no fingers there. And then we'll stick this down like so. And then let's go ahead and do that over here. Okay, so let's get rid of the rest of the fingers, get this all glassed out. Glassed out just basically means that there's no fingers on the edges. So it's laying down like glass in those areas. Okay, so I am noticing that we're getting pre-tacking here on these ridges, which is gonna be fine, because what we're gonna do here is go ahead and get rid of a lot of this soapy water here and the air pockets. And then we're gonna go ahead and squeegee this ridge out. Now that is even more important to do if it's a black vehicle. So we got that ridge down, and then let's go ahead actually and just take all this stuff out this way, away from that ridge. Just take care of this right now. Up to the corner. Okay, we'll just keep working our way all the way to the edge. And now we'll bring this stuff back. Get a little bit of pre-tacking there. Nope, not pre-tacking. Okay, we're good. Okay, all this is squeegeed out now. Let's get some tack solution in here and up here on the fender. We're kind of breaking loose from the fender here, which is causing it not to stay down on the hood there. So let's get all this stretched back. See how when I stretch this back, it automatically makes it clear up right here. So I'll hold that in place while I squeegee this part out. Okay. Great. And then we'll worry about all this stuff later. Now let's check here. All right, we are still getting some pre-tacking there. I was wondering about that, if that was going to help with the as far as using that wax on there. And I don't know, currently I'm not noticing much of a difference from side to side, although this side did have a little bit longer to tack up. Let's go ahead and get some more soapy water in there. I'm going to use the more soapy of the two solutions. Okay. And then let's get rid of this air. Okay. Same over on this side. Okay, and then let's squeegee some of this out now. So we'll go ahead and just basically we'll just start on the full hood. We're not gonna have to, I don't think, well, let's just squeegee this out first, just in case that starts to re-tack right there. And then let's take out the center now. Okay, we had a little finger that was, or a little bit of moisture that was stuck in there, so I'm gonna get that out. And then I'm gonna take this stuff back now. And the reason I'm taking this back is just in case I happen to hit a spot where some of these air pockets are starting to dry. When we push this new water in there, it'll re-wet down that air pocket. So it pushes a lot of water into that air pocket and makes it so that while this is sitting here, if that air pocket is starting to dry and when I go over it, it's just going to like immediately kind of stick down by adding all that, introducing back into it all that slip solution. It's no longer going to be tacky like that, is the hope. Okay, and we can take this part down, and then don't worry about anything from here over. We're going to mess with that in a minute. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we can just bring this part down. Let's check and see if make sure we've got an area for the all the solution to leave. If this starts to pre-tack, when you come down, the water will just go voop to the sides of the squeegee and stay on the hood. Okay. Okay, that looks really good. Now let's take all this back. Good even pressure, good overlapping strokes. So about half of the squeegee is squeegeeing out new stuff and the other half is squeegeeing out the old stuff. Okay, let's get this popped up because we're getting some pre-tacking there. That should help all that lay down. There we go. And then let's squeegee this out. Okay, squeegee all this out. And then I'm going to take this finger right here over the edge and I'm going to do a hold there. So swipe and hold. Get that to stay stuck down. If that doesn't work, then we'll need to introduce some tack solution, which it looks like we will. It's coming up again right there. So no problem, we'll come back to that. Just double checking for any water bubbles or air pockets underneath the material, making sure that I'm not leaving anything behind. Okay, I want to get that down right now. Just pull this back a little, get tack down in there, squeegee it out, and then I'll come back this direction with the squeegee, go over the edge and hold. Okay, that should take care of that. Okay, so that area and this area here were all tacked down already before I got back over here. Now, so what we're going to be doing is squeegeeing from this area over to the middle and then this area over to the middle. And that ensures that we don't grab a bunch of moisture and try and push it through an area that's already been tacked down and has been drying. Okay. Do have a couple tiny little fingers here that we're going to need to take care of, but let's get the rest of this out first. Okay, so let's get some more slip on here. All right, so at this point we can guess that this line is going to be tacking here. So if this is a black hood, I am going to want to get that down, pushed down really quick as well as this one. Let's see if it is. A little bit. And back here, I'm sure it's even more because there's a lot more tension on it than there is right here on the side. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just keep that in mind, and we're not going to try to drag anything over across it. We're just going to go with that line. Okay, then we'll come over here. All right. So we're working away from the area that we think is kind of tacked. And we've got a little bit of pre-tacking going on here. So I'm going to pull that up just a little bit. And then again over here where we know that we're tacked for sure. Okay, Let's go get all this out. So I do have a finger coming up right here, and that's just because something, it's like, basically I think what's going on is there's some tension this direction right here, and so it's causing this finger, like this could have been lifted up and pulled this way a little bit, and that would have helped correct that. So let's see if we can do that still here. There we go. Now I want to get some tack in there. Okay, great. And so some of this is slip, so we want to go ahead and get everything pushed out that we just put tack in, and then we can push the slip out. We don't want to push the slip into the area we put the tack solution, otherwise that's going to dilute the solution there. That's going to dilute this tack solution, and then it's not going to work as well. Okay, so let's get this down, and then we need to go back. I'm gonna have to get a little bit more tack solution in my bottle, and we'll go back and correct those areas, or finish those areas up. Okay, so just pushing all this out to the edge here. Check that edge one more time. Great. Now at this point, what would be a good idea to do is to kind of dry this off, and basically I'm just very lightly going over it with this towel. I'm not putting any pressure with the towel, it's just gliding across the surface. Real gently. You don't want to move the material around at all. So if you have a lot of soap in there and your stuff slides around, you don't want to move it while you're drying that off, because what that could do is cause you to get a thing called chicken skin, where you get like a bunch of little dots in it, and that's from little pieces of adhesive or little areas of adhesive that are stuck, and then you move the film, those areas distort and it looks like they call it chicken skin. The reason that we're doing that though is so that we can look over this hood now and look for water bubbles. Looks really good. Let's get some more tack solution and get these guys stuck down. Okay, let's get this pulled back a little. Get some tack in there on these edges. And let's get a little mist on top. Okay, so let's lift this back up a little, lay that down nice and flat with a tiny bit of tension on it, and it's really nothing, it's just a tiny baby tug. You don't want to put a bunch of tension on that, because then you can create a distortion right here, like you're actually stretching it, and we're not trying to stretch it, we're just trying to get it to lay down nice and flat. All right, swipe and hold. Okay, I've got a tiny water bubble right there, right here. I'm gonna put my thumb here to make sure that I don't lift up on this and pull this loose off of the paint here. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna get some tack solution in there. Okay, we'll put that same tension we had on it back on it, just for good measure. That'll help minimize any possibility of leaving the lift line. Not that we really should at this point anyway. Okay, great. Edges all down. I'm gonna walk around, check all these edges again. Running my finger around it like this, I should be able to feel a bump. If I left, there's some water right there in this edge. Just a tiny bit right there. So I'm gonna pop that up. Let's get some tack in there. Squeegee this out. Swipe and hold. Done. Okay, back with my finger again. Okay, Fantastic. So I'll let this cure for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we'll come back, trim the edges out, and then we might even do some pre-wrapping, we'll see. But at least we're gonna come back, cut the edges, and then put the hood up and just have it sit here and dry. All right, let's go ahead and trim this hood out, and then maybe we'll do a pre-wrap on it. We could have put a couple blades out there. And we'll start right back here. I wanna leave almost a 1/4 inch hanging over. Not quite a 1/4 inch though. I'm getting a little big there. All right, there we go. That might be a little, not quite enough. Okay. We'll basically just do this all the way around. You'll see back here that I'm keeping tension on the material where the blade is by putting a little tug backwards and away from the blade. And that helps me keep a nice, smooth, straight, even cut. You can also see that my pointer finger is running along the vehicle hood edge. That helps me keep from getting it real wavy as far as my cut goes. Okay. Sometimes when there's a lot of sometimes it's harder when you're trimming. This is actually going quite well and pretty easy, but if there's more slack in the material, you'll find that this portion with your other hand is much more important. Over in here, this is all stuck down to stuff, so it's keeping a lot of tension on it already. Okay, we'll come up and around. Work our way up towards this corner here. We'll be careful not to cut this too short. Great, let's see how that worked. Perfect. Okay, let's get up this side and we'll take care of the back. Okay. Great. And let's take care of this back portion here. Okay, and then for now I'm going to leave this corner long. And we'll see how that works. I'll probably do a melt method on this, but we will see once we get it open, like what's in the way. If there's anything in the way and I can't get to the back side, then what I'll do is trim it off basically just like that, just right at the very edge, and then push that part down, and then that'll be the finished edge instead of wrapping all this bunch of material under. Okay, right here we'll do the same thing. Bam. You might also notice that during that part I turned my tool pouch more towards the back just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to stick out of it or poke out of it that could potentially hit any part of the paint. All right, so at this point we're going to go ahead and blow out all these edges with tack solution. So I'm just going to curl the film up a little bit, spray the tack solution into my hand. It'll run down and get underneath the material on that edge. Okay, all the way around we have to do this. We're basically just blowing out any slip solution that could be in here so that we can do a pre-wrap on this. Great. All right, now we'll do a bit of a pre-wrap. Not a bit, just gonna do a pre-wrap. So we're gonna go over that edge and then hold. Basically what this is doing is this is taking our, wait a minute, let me see. I'm gonna trap some air in that edge, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do. Try that again. Nope, it's something in the paint. It's in there, right there too. I don't know if can you guys see that? That area that looks a little darker right there. Oh well, okay. Let's keep on moving. So I'm wrapping around kind of to the back side, to the underside of the hood, and then putting pressure on it and holding. And you can see by my fingernails, I'm putting some good pressure on it. Just changing them to that, you know, to white. And basically this gets our currently finished edge where it's going to be able to sit and dry out to off the face of the hood where you can see it. Which means this will make the wrapping part much easier in the end when we go to push all this down underneath the hood, because we're not gonna have to worry about anything out here. So we're gonna be able to just basically move a bit faster and not be concerned that we're gonna leave an air pocket or any water pockets out here. Also, if somebody happens to come around and bump something, or you happen to hit something while it's drying, you don't have to worry about sticking a part down where it's gonna leave an air pocket or anything in there. And anything you'd like to add, Heather, to that? I was just kidding anyway. All right, we'll just keep on keeping on all the way around. So I'm just taking the squeegee, I'm making sure to get good pressure on it. Good even pressure all the way across, wrapping it underneath. So if I had my fingers out here, we wouldn't be getting good pressure in the middle. So I kind of run them just like this, my thumbs. And then you'll, you know, it'll kind of depend on the install and things, the hood and the paint and how the paint protection film is tacking. But see, we're tacking down really good here and we're not having problems with it really curling back out. Sometimes it'll curl back out and I'll either just let it do that or I'll try adding water to that edge instead of tack and see if that works any better. Some vehicles, you know, it just doesn't want to do this pre-wrap very easily. But as long as you get it off this front face, you're in pretty good shape then. So this process does take a little while, and it feels like it takes longer than it does. I always swear this is taking forever. It's like so boring. So a lot of times I'll skip this step. It's a great step though, but I will skip it because I get impatient. But if you're newer at paint protection film, it's, you know, this is a great step so you don't run into problems later. Okay, we almost got this. Okay, great. You can see over there, there's some more tension on it because of this corner here. It's definitely got more tension on it. Didn't really want to stay down that well, but let's take a look at it. So we're still wrapped all the way to where you can see my finger. So right to there, we're still wrapped. So we're almost around the whole corner there, or edge, and almost to the bottom. So that's wrapped plenty. And that still gets it off this top where anybody can see it. So then we'll wrap that under later, the rest of the way. All right, let's see if we can get to this corner. Not really. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim these off. I don't know, it's got like a funky crease there in the hood too on that corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this off just like this, so just past the edge. So basically is able to kind of saw through the material and then push and go straight through without hitting the edge of the paint. And that's some great coverage right there. So let's just push that down. Fantastic. Do the same thing over here. Come on, there we go. Okay, great. All right, so we've got this opened up. We're gonna go ahead and let this sit there and let those edges dry out, and I'm gonna get to work on the fender, and we'll come back after this is completely dry and finish wrapping those edges. See you then. All right, so this hood has had some time to dry. Let's go ahead and finish wrapping these edges underneath to the bottom side of the hood, and then this thing's all ready to go home. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put some heat on these edges and then wrap them underneath. So you just wrap a little bit each pass. Usually gonna take 2 or, you know, probably about 3 to 4 passes to get this all wrapped down. Okay. Now what I am going to do too is get back in here, put some more heat on these edges. The ones that are got a little bit of extra, you know, material in there. Heat those up and push them down again. And by extra material, I mean there's just extra material bunching up on this edge. Okay, so we'll go ahead and push this down. Great. We just work our way around and do this over and over again. Pretty straightforward. Heat this up a little bit. That way it gets a really good adhesion to the back side of the hood here. All right, we'll just get this wrapped under a little bit and then I'll put that heat on it. Okay, and then we've got a little extra material here. So let's push that all the way back as far as we can get it. Get the rest of this down, and then we'll put just a little bit more heat on that and just really get it stuck down. Great. And you just want to go over a little, you know, like I said, it usually takes about 3 passes. If you try to do that whole thing in one pass, you're going to bunch that material up and kind of wrinkle it over on itself. And the reason I'm running over this at first with my thumb and then putting heat on it is because this isn't fully wrapped all the way down to the bottom, so it was a little bit on the side. So I want to make sure and get that down first before I start putting heat on it, because I want to pay really good attention to that and make sure that when I'm blowing on it with the heat gun that it doesn't stick down and leave air pockets in the very edge. Heat this up. I'm gonna come in here again. I'm gonna really just tuck that stuff in where looks like it's a little bit long. And actually, let me see if I can get that to stick down in there. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go ahead. Here, that's a little long, so it would, let's see how this does. Might even be best to just trim it off right here. But it looks like it's sticking down pretty good now that I put so much heat on it. All right, so in this corner, the film is popping up just a little bit, so I want to get the very corner down first, and then we'll work the rest of this down. Oops. Slipped off the edge there. Great. Actually folded the material over on itself. All right, I got to deal with that in a moment. Okay, let me see what I can do about that. See if we can kind of pick this. There it goes. It's starting to break loose, and I'll just continue to work across. This is all material that's going to be underneath the hood, so we're not worried about damaging it, but we do want to make sure that once it gets underneath there, it gets good adhesion to the bottom of the hood, so we don't want that edge curled over on itself. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead, if this popped up at all, let's go ahead and get that back down. Great. I will go ahead and put a little bit more heat on that. A little bit more heat. Is that how you say that? We'll give that last push down. Okay, and wrap that. Start this corner and then work my way away from that. Warm it up and roll it under. You can also see the angle of my finger. So when I'm coming this way, I'll have this angle. And then when I'm coming this way, I'll have this other angle here. And that's because that's the best way to roll that down. If you just try to do this and go over, there's a good possibility you're gonna bunch up the material on the edge. And so this is just a much cleaner, safer way to do it. All right, well, terrific. That's the process of installing bulk material on the hood of this Acura. What do you guys think about the wax on these ridges? It didn't really seem to make a big difference on this one, but I've heard people say that it does make a difference. So, what kind of things do you guys find that's beneficial for these areas that are gonna have a lot of tension on them to keep them from tacking down so fast? So you'll notice on my installs, I'll normally kind of squeegee some of those areas out first if I'm having any tackiness. And that's just to make sure that we eliminate that problem. But that can also create other problems during the install when you're squeegeeing other stuff out, because you do already have an area that's tacked down. So I've also seen people put like direct just soap on there, but I don't know. I don't know if that seems safe enough for the adhesive, if it's gonna still be fine over time. I'm not sure. So anyway, that's all I have for this one. So I appreciate you guys taking a look at this. If you did find something useful or helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.